Hey there. So we all use AI, right? Every single day. And it's kind of magical, isn't it? It just works. But have you ever stopped to think about what's really going on behind the scenes? Like who or what is pulling the levers? Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain and take a hard look at the ghost in the machine.
Okay, so let's start with something super familiar. I'm sure you've done this. You pop open ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, and you just type something in. Something simple, something fun, you just want a quick, clean answer.
And boom, seconds later, there it is, the perfect response. It's happy, it's safe, it's exactly what you wanted. The whole thing feels so smooth, so friendly, so clean. It feels like it's 100% automated, right? But is it really?
And that right there, that's the million-dollar question. I mean, think about it. How does an AI that's been trained on the entire messy, chaotic internet know how to be so polite, so helpful? How does it know to filter out all the awful, toxic stuff? Well, the answer isn't just a bunch of clever code. It's way more complicated than that. Which brings us to the first big idea we need to tackle, what I'm going to call the AI autonomy lie. See, the story we're usually told is that these machines are these brilliant digital brains just learning all on their own, pure autonomy. But that story, it's missing a huge, huge piece of the puzzle. So on one hand, you have the popular narrative, these incredible machines just soaking up data and getting smarter by the second, totally on their own. But the reality? It's a lot more human. What the source material for this explainer shows us is that behind pretty much every smart AI, there is a massive, hidden global army of actual people.
Okay, so a hidden army of people. Who are they? Where in the world are they? And what in the world are they doing that makes our chatbots so well-behaved?
All right, so the source material actually has a name for this group, the RLHF proletariat. It's a mouthful, I know. RLHF stands for Reinforcement Learning from Human Feedback, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a process where real humans are basically teaching the AI, hey, this response is good, or nope, that one is bad. They're the ones training it, rating its answers. They're the human filter.
There's a really great term for this: ghost work. It's all the human labor that's happening behind the scenes, totally invisible to us, to make these automated systems seem, intelligent and autonomous. These people are, quite literally, the ghosts in the machine.
And you might be picturing this work happening in some shiny office in Silicon Valley. But that's not it at all. This ghost work is overwhelmingly outsourced, mostly to countries in the global south. We're talking about places like Kenya, the Philippines, India, Brazil, you name it. And this creates this massive gap, right, between the people designing the tech and the people doing the grueling work to actually make it function. But here's where the story takes a much darker turn. This isn't just about tedious data entry. No, this work has a profound, serious human cost, which brings us to this really chilling idea from the source material called the psychological transfer.
Okay, think about this for a second. For an AI to learn what is unsafe or toxic so it knows not to show it to you, someone has to look at that unsafe, toxic content first, a real person. These workers, their job is literally to sift through the absolute worst, the toxic waste of the internet and label it all so the AI learns, don't go there.
And when I say toxic waste, I mean it. We're talking about the absolute bottom of the barrel of human behavior. Horrific hate speech, graphic violence, beheadings, sexual violence, even, and it's awful to say, child sexual abuse material. This is the stuff that human beings are paid to look at, all day, every day, to protect the rest of us.
So what you get is what the source calls a global psychopolitical transfer. It's a powerful idea. The digital experience for users in, say, the global north gets scrubbed clean, it's sanitized. But all that psychological horror, all that trauma, it doesn't just vanish into thin air. No, it gets transferred. It's exported. We get the polite, safe chatbot, and the workers who make that possible, they get the PTSD, they get the nightmares, they get the lasting psychological damage. The author of one of our sources, Albert Tan, has this quote that it hits hard. He says, "These workers are the sanitation workers of the collective unconscious." Just think about that. They're cleaning up all the digital filth that we as a society produce, just so the rest of us can pretend it doesn't exist.
And if you think that's the whole story, it gets even more complicated. The psychological damage is one thing, but there's another layer to this, a really bizarre and profound paradox that the source calls hyperalienation.
Now, you've probably heard the term alienation, right? Like a factory worker who feels totally disconnected from the car they're helping to build. Well,
Hyper-alienation is that on steroids. Imagine your job is to build a product, but the explicit purpose of that product is to make your job obsolete. You are actively, consciously training your own replacement.
Let me just walk you through how this devastating loop works. It's pretty simple. Step 1, a human worker sees a piece of complex or maybe toxic data and labels it. Step 2, the AI model learns from that human's label. Step 3, after seeing enough examples, the AI can now do that task all by itself. And Step 4, the human worker isn't needed for that job anymore. They have literally worked themselves out of a job.
So in this system, these people aren't pilots. They're not steering the machine. They're just components. Temporary biological parts in a giant machine. They're just cogs, given tiny tasks with zero context. And the whole point of their labor is to eventually make themselves unnecessary.
And really that leaves us with one final, really tough question. We all get to convenience, right? We get the fun, the creativity, this amazing, seamless tool at our fingertips. But now that we know what's happening behind the curtain, now that we've seen the ghost in the machine, you have to ask yourself, is all of this worth the hidden human cost? It's definitely something to chew on the next time you ask an AI to write you a happy little poem.